the Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, everybody? This is the Titans Fan Battle Podcast brought to you by the Fan Battle Sports Network. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and my co-host today, as always,
it's your boy Flame, man, Mr. Flame Bull, #1 Titan fan in the world.
And we had literally so much fun on the last show that we had with this guy. We had to invite him back, especially for the Hopkins welcoming party. Mr. Cortland Griffin, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Oh, man, I'm glad to be back on the show, guys. We got a lot to talk about, and what better place to talk about Titans news than the Titans Fan Battle Podcast.
Hey, thanks for being here, man.
Yes,
we appreciate
it, man.
All right, so, of course, everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to know all the details. Like, literally, I don't know about you, but my social media has been nuts lately. I literally haven't been able to hardly keep up with it. But we signed him. The news was announced, I think, Sunday, right at about 1:30. I think they were literally waiting on people to get out of church, which is hilarious. But I literally think that's why they dropped it at 1:30, because they were like, church, yeah, that's good. Of course, that's our thing, not Central Time. So I guess that blows my theory out of the water. But anyway, he signed a 2-year deal, $26 million, 32, I think, guarantees. And then he has $3 million in incentives, different incentives. I think the breakdown is right here, done by Ian Rappaport. Catches, done by reception yards and touchdowns. Basically, it's pretty easy. If he gets, like, I think it's 10-50, 80 receptions, 80 receptions, 10-50 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He meets all three and gets $3 million extra. So, but hey, on the last time we were talking about this, Cortland, I don't know if you remember or not, but my boy Flame here literally said $15 million a year, and we were talking about a second contract, but he said $15 million a year, and me and you were like, nah, 20, 25, like 20, 22, we don't care, So to me, it feels like we're kind of getting him for a discount.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, how do you feel about that? But
and this is Rand Carthon. This is Rand Carthon and his wheelhouse at work, right? This is where he is perfect. He's not John Robinson. If this was John Robinson, it would have been $7 million, probably $7.5 million, somewhere in there a year, 1-year deal. Let's figure it out, and throw some incentives in there, and you would have got maybe up to that base pay of like $12 million. Where his base pay is $12 million of this contract, and he can get up to $15. This is Rand Carthon at his finest, right? And then here's the thing about it that people are going to miss. You see 2 years and you're like, okay, 2023-24, 2024-25, and then he goes on and rides off into the sunset, maybe on another team, right? Wrong. You get 1 year. Hey, you go out there, even if we're a 7-10 team, You go out there and show us that you're DeAndre Hopkins of 2020, right, where he had 1,400, 6 touchdowns, and I believe like 115 receptions, right? You show us that guy, or even just a glimpse of that guy, you're on a 1-year deal next year. Now, and we have $125 million to play with. You don't think they're going to go re-sign that guy to another 2, maybe 3-year deal? Yes, a 35-year-old receiver sounds like a lot to pay him, right? But when it's a guy that shows you that, hey, I was suspended 1 year, I was injured the next year, but I'm still a perennial All-Pro, perennial, Pro Bowl receiver, why not pay him?
Yep.
Well, even if you look at last season's stats, I hear a lot of people say that, especially a lot of people in the AFC South, but I hear a lot of people say that, oh, he's washed up. He's going to the Titans to end his career like all the other receivers do, But I feel like, we talked about this last time. If he was to come here, I feel like he would break that trend because he's still producing at a high rate. If you look last year, even with the suspended games, okay, don't pay attention to those numbers.
Right.
Pay attention to 80 yard per game average.
Right.
80 yards a game. That's what he was producing back in Houston. He was finally getting into some kind of rhythm with Kyler Murray or, whoever he was playing quarterback with, because I think Kyler was hurt part of last year. But
Max, I'll do you one better. Can I interest you in 66% on his of his catches, right? Of his targets with catches. Can I interest you in 11.2 yards per route? Can I interest you in 3 touchdowns? I mean, can I interest you in 35 first downs? And he played one less game in the previous year where he was suspended. He had 30. What was this? Oh, yeah, he had 32 first downs. So in one more game, right, he gave you 3 first downs. This is a guy who can not only move the chains, but he can get you into the end zone. He can score. He's going to draw double teams. Like he said, whatever team signs me, I'm going to make your job a lot easier.
And see, that's
his presence that makes that job easier.
That's what kind of excites me about getting DeAndre Hopkins, because his game is not based on speed. It's not based on, him just going out there, burning receivers. Like, dude is basically a receiver that has hands. Like, he's going to catch whatever's thrown to him. So, I mean, I've never seen him. I can't say never, but it's not a lot of times where DeAndre Hopkins catches the ball and gets a lot of rack like how A.J. Brown used to do. But
he can do it.
That guy
he can do it.
He can. But I never liked his rack, because a lot of times it seemed like he'd catch the ball and he'd give himself up. But that's cool. Stay healthy. That's what we need. But I always liked his hands. Like, he's gonna be there when we need a first down. He's gonna catch the passes that a lot of receivers don't catch. He's gonna transform our offense. And he's going to be reliable. That's what we need. Like, it's too many times the ball is thrown to our receivers, and we damn near praying that they catch it. We damn near praying that they can get a little separation. So he's going to give us that for sure. The ability to be able to throw the ball his way, and we can almost guarantee he's going to catch the ball. So that's what excites me the most. Like, it gives us consistency finally at the wide receiver position.
And analytics played a big part in this. Shout out to Bob Brinker, our assistant. Like, Rand Carthon gets a lot of love, but Bob Brinker, coming over from Green Bay, who's the assistant GM, deserves a lot of credit. He's an analytics guy. There's a reason why Green Bay went out and got the guys that they would go get, and it seemed like this hodgepodge of athletes and route runners and position players and possession catchers. And it was like, okay, why did you want Mercedes Lewis? He's 40, right? Well, it's because he's a 5.5 yard per target, right? Like, average at 40 years old. He has sure hands. So now that cuts a drive where I run the ball and I make it 3 yards in the cloud of dust. Instead of going 2nd and 7, I got 2nd and 5. Instead of 3rd on 2nd and 4, now I got a first down and I can keep drives going. Well, DeAndre Hopkins now brings that because he's, like I said, 66.7 catch percentage of his targets. So 66. So that's 6 out of every 10 passes thrown his way, he's catching them. But on top of that, 7.5 yards per target. That's on 1st and 10.
Get us down the field, man.
You go from 1st and 10, a Derrick Henry run of maybe 5 or 6 yards, right? But now teams have to think about, now I got DeAndre Hopkins on one side, who he can go in 1st and 10 turns into 2nd and 3 instead of now 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 8. We stay ahead of the change, which is what the Titans had a lot of trouble doing last year. We couldn't depend on, we had to depend on big plays. But now I can chunk you down the field with a 15-yard run from Derrick Henry, with a 7, 8, 10, 10, 20, 25, 30-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins. And then on top of that, I got a guy in Treylon Burks that can work underneath. And I got Josh Wiley, who's a red zone target. And I got a guy who I like to call Delaney Jr. and Chig Okonkwo, who can run those Delaney Walker type of post corner outs, those out routes, and turn them into big plays. So you're now getting a lot of guys that can create after the catch, but also turn what used to be 3 and outs into sustained drives, which helps your defense as well.
Man. And people forget about that those drives do help our defense get a breather. Those 3 and outs used to kill us. A lot of people don't think about how bad 3 and outs kill your defense. It's like, man, they just got off the field, whether they gave up a field goal, a touchdown, or made the other team, turnover on downs. Man, bro, those 3 and outs on offense, they not only kill the momentum, they kill our mentality, they kill the morale. When your defense looking up like, oh, we got to go back out there and make another stop. These wide receivers are already killing us. Man, I'm telling you, that's what I mean when I say that Hopkins gonna provide that consistency to our offense, man. Like you just said, it's gonna be a first down here. He's gonna open it up to where Derrick Henry can run. It's just he make the whole offense better, and I can't wait to see how it's.
And it keeps opposing offenses off the field, which means they can't get a rhythm, right? They can't sustain drives, and so that I think that's where a lot of the holes that people have about the Titans, right? A lot of the negative dark mark or black marks that you have on this team and this roster now get remedied with just one guy. Like, people always look at the offensive side and what that all guy's offensive impact is. He's a force multiplier. Like, there's only like 4 or 5 guys in the league that are force multipliers at the wide receiver position. Justin Jefferson is one, right? Devontae Adams is another. DeAndre Hopkins is another. Right, and then you can throw some other names in there. Debo Samuels, of course, AJ Brown in Philly. There's some other guys, right? But DeAndre Hopkins is a force multiplier. In other words, if you put this guy on your team, he affects more than just your passing game, right? He affects your defense. He affects your team, your locker room morale. He affects the effectiveness of the quarterback, the run game, the defense. He does all of these things, and just with his presence being there. And also the professionalism that he brings, because he's now going in, I think, year 10. So this is where you see players start to kind of go into that mentor role, and we'll talk about that later.
Well, I'll say this, man. People talk about how can one guy change your team, that much or whatever, and I always try to think back or take people back, not the same way, but production wise. I think this team will probably outdo the AJ Brown, Corey Davis days, because that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at Treylon Burks is as good or better than Corey Davis, I think he will be, especially this season. And DeAndre Hopkins is as good or better than AJ Brown.
I say he's better.
So
I'd say he's better.
You put those two together, and hey, there's no argument that Chig Okonkwo is better than Jonnu Smith.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right.
Y'all ready to go there?
He already outproduced him in his first rookie season.
He outproduced him. And here's the thing, right? If you look at ceilings, people say, well, Jonnu Smith is Delaney Walker, right, in a bigger body. Okay, that's great. And for his time when he was healthy, I'd give him that. He was a guy that you can line up and they line the man up at halfback. You don't see that with tight ends often, right? We're not asking Chig to do that. Chig is more of a Delaney Walker clone, right? 6'1", 6'2", 240, 245, 4'4", 4'5" guy. And here's the crazy thing: as a rookie, he was ranked in the top 10 for tight ends in yards per target, catch rating, like all of these things that you look at. He was if he had played the entire season as the starter, we're looking at a guy who was a top 10, arguably top 5 tight end in the league. Yep. And that's putting him in the air of guys like Rob Gronkowski, who was playing, Travis Kelce, who was playing, George Kittle. It's putting him in that era, Mark Andrews and those guys. So when you start to look at that, you say, okay, we got a potential top 5 tight end. We have a legitimate number 1 top 10 receiver, and we have a young number 2 who can develop into a number 1 with the best running back in the NFL and a dual threat running back behind him who potential-wise can bring another element to this team, and a wide receiver number 2 who you have to respect. A tight end number 2 that you have to respect, and Josh Wiley, just because of the simple fact of his height and athleticism. This team looks totally different.
Well, yeah, and another aspect I want to talk about is, we were talking about on the last show the difference between the two GMs, and how, as an old fan, we were just excited to have something besides the crazy, crappy old Floyd Reese. We were just excited to have something different, and he was making moves. I mean, he did the David Stewart move, got rid of Dorial Green Beckham, which was Dennis Kelly. I'm sorry, but that was an amazing trade. He did get David Stewart. He also, he made a lot of he made a lot of bad moves, made a lot of bad draft picks. He made some decent draft picks, but the point is, the difference between, when, this whole John Robinson thing went on and they fired him. And then, so when we were looking for a new one, I was just all skeptical and then they hired Rand Carthon. I didn't really know that much about him, if I'm being honest. I'm not that deep of a football guy to know all the GMs and stuff like that. But I was impressed with his demeanor and the way he handled himself, and I was like, all right, well, let's see what the guys got in the draft, and then I wasn't impressed at first, but then I kind of started digging into it more, as if I was a football coach, and looking at these RAS scores and all these different things. And I was like, wow, okay, maybe I'm kind of starting to see the guy's vision, and then, you also look at the offseason acquisitions that he got. And right now, literally when he signed DeAndre Hopkins, for me, in my mind, I literally saw Rand Carthon walking away in slow motion, when a building explodes and you hear that really awesome music and he's just strutting, dude, yup, I just aced this offseason, y'all. And he has. As far as I'm concerned,
it's an A+ Kickstarter.
How can you do that with as little money that we had, as little wiggle room that we had, and he has produced us a contending team?
He came in optimistic. So, and that's the big thing with the GM. And that's the reason why he got the job, was because one of the things that he said in his interview process was, I don't feel like the Titans have to completely restart to rebuild. I don't think you guys have to rebuild. This team just needs to have some infusion of talent. We need to kind of get rid of some of the old, the old dead skin, dead weight, right? Trim some of the fat. Yeah. And get this team back and get into the 21st century. Yep. What did he do? Taylor Lewan, hey, we love you. I love the For the Boys podcast, Busting with the Boys.
Yeah.
A Titans legend is number 77. I wouldn't be surprised if it's hanging up in the rafters someday. But you got to go. 2 out of 3 years, ACL injury. Hey, your time is done. As you can see, no other team is calling.
We paying.
Yep. Sorry, man.
We paying you way too much money. Sorry.
Right. And so, and then you look at the other cuts, right? Bud Dupree, right? Injury guy. David Long. See you later. Right? You look at what he did. He trimmed the fat. He allowed he allowed Mike Vrabel to
shout out.
And that's my guy Mike Patton. Shout out to him. So
shout
you
out
know
Mike Patton, man.
He allowed Mike Vrabel to put his fingerprints on this team, but he also put his fingerprints on this team. And if you look at how they've configured it now, it's very much so. Let's build through the draft and then get the bigger pieces on the back end. Right? It's not always about the big names. You see teams, we've seen teams in the past. The Cleveland Browns are a prime example, right?
Yeah.
Big names will spend $150 million and throw bags at guys, right? And it's no vision. There's no, it's a team, it's a Madden roster, right? You put a bunch of 99 overall, 90 overalls, 89 overalls, and a bunch of speed guys on the field, and you say, let's go win football games. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a vision. And so what Rand Carthon is doing now, you saw the vision. And a lot of people felt like, oh, Tennessee failed in the draft because there were wide receivers there in the third round they could have taken, but they took a tight end. There were wide receivers there in the fifth round. They could have, and they take an offensive lineman. What are they thinking? Right? Well, he said it. Him and Mike Vrabel both said it. Hey, we have a plan. We're going to see what the free agent market looks like. Where there's no free agent guys. I feel like Austin Ford going to the Cardinals gave us an upper hand. I feel like they knew that DeAndre Hopkins was going to be out in Arizona. And so
Mike Patton talking about
Aziz Al-Shaair,
he's gonna ball out. I agree with you, Patton. He gonna ball out this year. He's gonna be all on the ball.
People don't understand.
He's gonna be a fan favorite. Some telling me the fans gonna gonna flock to him.
Oh, he's a Titans guy. Like I said last show, Aziz looks like a guy who's been here with the Titans his entire career. He
got some swagger too.
Yeah, he just fits in. So it's when you see number 2 on the field, it's gonna be like, and where did this guy come from? Right? He's just gonna fit in. He's a Titan, right? He's not a 49er turn Titan. He's not a former, 49er or this other guy that came. He looks like a Titan, talks like a Titan. He loves this place. So, and that's what Mike Vrabel's big thing. His mantra's been definitely at training camp, mandatory mini camps. His thing was, we want guys that want to be here. Well, it looks like DeAndre Hopkins wanted to be here. So, I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
And
that's been Vrabel mantra right there too.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been comparing the latest wide receiver we picked up on free agency, and I'll actually like to use this comparison. I actually love it when they bring this up, because Julio Jones signing, if you look at it, it just again goes to show you the difference between our GMs now and then. But the Julio Jones signing crippled us, and it was a real high risk deal. I mean, it was a high reward, but also very high risk. I mean, we gave up draft picks, 4 void years in his contract. I mean, it was insane. All right. And now this time we're not only are we saying, all right, here's a base salary and here's an incentive deal, which, I think incentive driven contracts are the best kind, especially when you're talking about a veteran. Yep. And then not only that, the money, I mean, we don't really know the specifics yet, but the money that we're getting him for, and there's no draft capital. So when you look at the comparison of the two, it's with DeAndre Hopkins, even though he's a much better player in my eyes, where he's at right now in his career compared to the Julio Jones when we got him. But if you look at the two deals alone, we're getting Hopkins for a much low risk, cheaper contract. It's better structured, no draft capital. So it is way different than when we got Julio Jones. Automatically.
Yeah, and I think I think it's exactly what you're saying is what got John Robinson fired, because a lot of times the moves he make, he didn't think about the future enough. Like when he made that Julio deal, it was kind of like all or nothing. Like we gave all for that one season. We gave a lot up for that one season, and we knew the next couple seasons was gonna be rough. He knew that we was gonna have hell with that salary, with the salary cap them next 2 seasons. So it was. I felt like John Robinson was just like, fuck it, let's get him. Let's give him the draft pick. We're gonna go all in. This is gonna be our Super Bowl year, and that's why his ass was crying when we lost that Bengals game in that off season on that video. That's why he was crying, because he knew, if he didn't capitalize with that Julio trade, we was gonna be in trouble. And that's why he had to end up shipping AJ off. And I mean, he really got us he really dug us a hole. And I'm liking how Rand is trying to get us up out that hole. So far, I'm liking everything Rand undone, man. As far as the free agency sign, the way he's fixing the offensive line, keeping Tannehill, not listening to all these folks in his head. What we gonna do at the quarterback? We're gonna trade him. Like, I'm liking, everything he does. He's gonna keep Tanny. We're gonna rock out. We're gonna fix our offensive line. He brought these key pieces in on defense: Arden Key, Azil Shair, everybody he done brought on defense. And Bron, yeah, it's like, so I'm liking the Hopkins, getting Hopkins. And like I said, even in the draft, he didn't panic. He didn't spend our first round, our second round on the wide receiver, because everybody know that's what we needed. So I'm loving everything he did, man. Shout out to Rand. I ain't been this excited about a season probably since the year we got Julio. But now it just feels like it makes more sense this year.
Can I bring another side to the Julio deal too? The Julio deal was done out of, like you said, panic, because what you paid Julio, ended up paying Julio Jones. You could have kept Corey Davis. Like, people fail to realize how productive Corey Davis was in the Titans uniform.
Yep.
I think he had almost 1,000 yards that year.
Yeah,
I think he had missed a game. I think it was his healthiest season of his career. I think he had missed like 1 or 2 games that kept him from being a 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah, it was like 960 or 920.
Yeah, something crazy.
It was close. Yeah,
it was very close.
It was almost there. Yeah, it was real close.
AJ Brown was of course a 1,000-yard receiver, multiple touchdowns. Right. Only thing you needed was a tight end, which was the one of the holes we had, and a slot receiver that could get open and kind of get some wiggle. Right. It seemed like he went and got. Go ahead.
I'm saying, what we talking about Corey Davis. I'm gonna tell you one other thing we missed Corey Davis in, and he dropped the ball on run blocking. It was a lot of times Derrick Henry used to break them long runs, and Corey Davis would be the lead blocker out there.
He was a willing blocker, very willing blocker.
And Julio was not going to adopt that. So that was kind of a downfall we took too. But go ahead.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, so when you look at that, coupled with the fact that you got rid of our top 2 receivers in back-to-back years.
Yep.
And then
you drafted those guys.
And then the guy that you traded a second round, I think a second and like a third the next year or a fourth the next year for, is no longer on the roster after a season. Yeah, you're gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose your job.
You fucked us. You fucked us, John Robinson.
For lack of better terms.
Yeah.
The fact that Rand Carthon turned it around with like Mike said, making magic happen. Little to no cap space. Only 4 or 5 picks in the draft this year, and the picks, though they look like, oh man, he didn't get any blue chip guys. Depending on what you look like, how you look at or how you graded Will Levis. Right, I had Peter Skoronski as one of my top tackles, so he is a blue chip guy, but they're moving him to guard. It depends on how you look at these guys, but it's like, it's one of those drafts where we're gonna look back on this on NFL Network and like on NFL Films one day, and they're gonna list these guys and say this was a great draft. The 2023-24 draft was a great draft for the Titans because you got Tajay Spears, who's a starter, you got Skoronski, who's an all-pro guard. You got this guy who's you got Josh Wiley, who's an all-pro or a tight end or a Pro Bowl tight end, or one of the best tight end twos in the league. Like, you're going to have this contingency in whether this draft yields starters or yields depth guys, you build foundations and you win Super Bowls with those kind of moves. You don't have to draft. You don't have to draft a 5-star prospect every time. You build the guy. You build through the draft, and you build these depth. Those depth. Look at the Eagles. Look at the Chiefs. Right, depth guys that become starters. Guys who are 5th-round draft picks and now playing meaningful minutes and meaningful downs. In championship games and they're winning Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you win those Super Bowls.
And I kind of feel like at the end of John Robinson's tenure, it kind of, a part of me seems like him and Vrabel was kind of bumping heads. And that's why I kind of think that when Rand Carthon got hired, he really expressed, he's going to help. He's going to team up with John Robinson. It's going to be a collaboration. And I feel like with this draft, these are also Vrabel's guys too. These are guys that these two put their heads together, drafted these guys, and I'm thinking they loving what they got. I felt like before it was too much John Robinson, and I guess Vrabel just going along with it because all of them made sense ahead of time. Nobody knew Caleb Farley was going to be a complete bust. Nobody knew that Isaiah Wilson was going to be a complete bust. So it looked good.
Never played a snap.
So it looked good.
That was the worst buzz.
Man, so it looked good to J-Rob and Vrabel then, but now I feel like they really got it together. I feel like they really got together and was like Vrabel telling Rand, this is what I need to be successful. I need somebody who's going to protect my fucking quarterback. Draft them 1st round. I don't care where you get them from. I need somebody to protect so Tannehill won't be on his ass every play. I need a running back who's going to catch the ball, can catch the ball out the backfield, give Derrick Henry a break, not fumble the ball. I need a tight end, and I do need a wide out. I don't care where you get him at. Let's just, look at analytics. He's big on analytics. Let's look and see who caught the most first down passes, who ran the best routes. And I felt like they got together and they had a hell of a draft together. And I'm ready to see how, like you just said, on down the line, how these guys going to play out. It's John Robinson fucked us so bad. It's like for Caleb Farley to not be playing, it's like killing us because that's a 1st round draft pick, bro.
It's killing everybody.
It eats me up.
I agree, but
and here's
man, listen, on any other team, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say and I'm gonna let Max move on after this probably, but what the Titans are, I'm a draft guy and I love doing draft analytics and draft coverage. Where the Titans went back to, look at these East-West, start paying attention to the Senior Bowl and the East-West Shrine game. Start paying attention to that. Rand Carthon spent a lot of time at the Senior Bowl, which is where he found our guy, right, Tyjae Spears. So you're going to see a lot more of these guys coming from that Senior Bowl, which is where the Titans found a lot of impact players. In the past, we found a lot of impact players at the East-West game. We found a lot of impact players. Right. We found a lot of impact players at the Senior Bowl. So, and it's a chance for these smaller school guys to get some exposure against the Ohio State competition, against the Alabama competition, against the Power 5 competition. And Tyjae Spears was working in slot receiver a lot during that time in those practices. If you go back and look at that tape, go on YouTube, type in Tyjae Spears Senior Bowl practice. He was cooking any and everything out there. I'm talking about some guys that were 2nd round, 3rd round picks that are going to be playing meaningful downs at cornerback, and he was cooking them as a running back. So this is where Rand Carthon and Bob Brinker are now going to. It's the analytical side of the draft. It's the NBA. Like when you see teams in the NBA, and I know this is not an NBA podcast, but it kind of correlates. You see teams in the NBA, you see a guy from like a small school, right?
Yeah.
Florida Atlantic Coast University, right? And you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And you look at the analytics. Yeah. You look at the analytics, and it's like he's an 86% shooter on catch and shoot opportunities. He's a plus rebounder. He's all of these things. He's a when he's defending, he's a 3, but when he's defending the 4, he's one of the best rated defenders in the game. That's how the NFL is now looking at guys at running back. This is how they're looking at receivers. This is how they're looking at tight ends. And so with that analytical side of it, the Titans can start to mold a more athletic team, which Vrabel said at the end of the year, I want to get fast. I want to field one of the fastest teams in the NFL. And they're taking steps to do that. He wants to be physical. Where they got fat, they got physical. Azeez Al-Shaair is one of the most physical linebackers in the game. If you look at his run grades, if you look at his pass coverage grades, he gets a lot of deflections, and a lot of those deflections are just him separating a man from the ball. So like when you look at that, this is the type of Sean Murphy-Bunting was one of the best press man corners in the league last year. If you look at the analytics, so when you look at that, this is the vision that you're starting to see with Vrabel and Carthon and Brinker, because I want us to really start to give our assistant GM some praise, because Bob Brinker is a hell of a football mind himself. It's not just Rand in that front office. It's not just Mike Vrabel, and I love those guys, but I love the fact that they added Bob Brinker, and also the fact that they're bringing in an analytics department. Yeah, something that the Titans haven't had. We pulled. I can't remember her name, but they pulled the assistant analytics to be our head of our analytics department from the LA Rams. And she's a savant when it comes to this. It's nothing but glowing reviews on what she did in LA. So the fact that, like I said, they're putting so much into that analytics side of it, you're going to see some guys that you're going to be like, why did you draft him in the second round? Or why did we get him? And see why when he gets into the system.
You definitely own to some, Courtney. Like, that could be big, bro. Like, I never really thought about, I've been hearing the analytics thing and us having, but now that you broke it down and, let us know, it's a team now and like they're really going to be looking into that stuff now. That's big, bro. And that could be
Rand Carthon that was Rand Carthon's job. And if you go look at this track
record,
a lot of people didn't know that.
At the 49ers.
In LA and the 49ers, he's the reason why they drafted Cooper Kupp. He's the reason why they drafted Aaron Donald. Those guys that were playing in like these schools that you never really, that you're like, what? Where's Minnesota, whatever? Or where's, Pitt? Yeah. What that guy from the ACC? And they're not known for defensive linemen. Aaron Donald, and you get Aaron Donald, who's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive player we've ever seen.
So the thing that John Robinson was doing was basing it off damn near luck.
Old school. It was old school.
Yeah, scouts.
Bill Belichick style. Yeah. Hey, 4-4. Hey, he runs a 4-4. We put him here, right? If you look at if you look at the difference, when I started doing draft coverage, I did the same thing, right? Old school. Get a whiteboard, put some names up there, write 40 times down, write bench press times down. You have a equation that you use for each position, right? With tackles, you want long arms. You want their 10-yard split to be, sub 2, right? Sub 3. You want them to run well in the shuttle, quick feet, right? Linebackers, you want them to sift through traffic. How did they test? How loose is his hips? Cornerbacks, you want long, lanky, strong. How good is his hips? Can he flip in coverage? All of these things, right? And that's fine. It's the reason why the combine is still around. But there's also a reason why you have Amazon attaching sensors to players. There's a reason why Under Armour is attaching sensors, or there's the sensors that are built into what is his heart rate, how much force is he generating off of his first step, how much force is he generating when he's punching the bag, right? There's a reason why those analytics departments are now being in that equipment. When you see these guys getting strapped up with all kinds of gadgets and gizmos, it's a reason why Pro Football Focus is such a big thing now. There's a reason why RAS scores, like Max was talking about, it's a reason why RAS scores are such a big thing right now. Because when you look at a receiver, you say, okay, let's take, for example, two guys, right? I'm gonna take two teammates that are coming into this next year's draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ibuka from Ohio State. Hypothetically speaking, right? Old school draft says take Marvin Harrison Jr. Old school. That's simple. 6'3", 210 pounds, runs 4.3, jumps 40, broad jumps, explosive athlete, right? Old school says take him. But if Ibuka goes out there at, I think 6'1", I think 190, 195 pounds, give or take, right? He runs 4.3. And his 10-yard split is a sub-1, right? And off his first step, he's generating, I don't know, let's just give him some random number, 1,200 pounds of force off his first step. This now looks into, okay, now this guy's going to beat this guy deep. Even though Marvin Harrison Jr. is the rawer athlete, he's the more explosive athlete, right? This guy's first step is quick. His reaction time is quick. He explodes in and out, right? That analytics side now says this guy goes from being a third round receiver to a late first round receiver. And so now when you see like a guy who's maybe a reach and he comes into the league, and I can say this, analytics played a part in Odell Beckham being drafted so high. Because if you look at what he did, he was a return guy at LSU. He had one great season at LSU, and he ended up being the first-round receiver, and you saw it play out on the field because he was so quick, he was so fast, he could take a 10-yard slant route 70 yards to the house, and it made for a wide receiver one and one of the more explosive receivers we've seen. So, like I said, we can talk analytics all day long. It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting topic. But Max was talking about it, and I love that Max mentions it. RAS scores are going to play a huge part in what the Titans do from now until Ran Carthon calls it quits.
Yep. All right, man.
I'm cool. That's cool.
So I was going to do it at the beginning of the show, but
I'm sorry, we got off into a tangent.
No, you're good. Wiser heads told me that I should wait until later in the show. But I have to do it. I apologize to everybody who has to sit through this, but I was right. So were you. I mean,
pop your shit, Max.
We called this.
Pop
I've
your
been
shit,
saying
Max.
it ever since the day that they released the news that we were still in contact with him at New York or New England. I started tweeting immediately, and on every social media, Facebook, TikTok, everything. I was like, put it on your calendars. I guarantee you, all my Titans guys that follow me, they are tired of hearing it. How many times I've said it, because they'll bring up DeAndre, and I'm like, you already know what I think. He's going to sign. It's just, we're waiting. And as funny as it is, this Monday, I said, I think he's going to sign this week. And I was getting really depressed, man, because I thought for sure he was going to sign Friday or Saturday. And then Sunday, the news broke, and I was right.
Boom.
Sorry. Patting myself on the back a little bit.
Hey, that's my boy Max. I got to give him his flowers.
I'm a lot more humble than Max. I'm a lot more humble than Max. Somebody needs to pat themselves on the back for it.
Yeah, hey, listen, I'm gonna do it.
I told Max, no being humble, bro. You called this shit. You've been calling it from day one. You did that. Cortland, you also been called. You called it. Hey, and I want to give a shout out while we on live. Shout out to Bam, because Bam met him when he was down here. He talked to him. He said he had a good feeling too. So shout out to B Wise. He called it too. Shout out to all.
According to insiders, man. So this is crazy, right? And it's crazy the people that you meet when being a media member.
Yeah.
When he left, the guy who I talked to for insider knowledge, he was like, the feeling around the facility, from Tim Kelly to Mike Vrabel to the training staff, was he's going to sign. It's just a matter of time. He's going to sign. And he said he likened it to when Jadeveon Clowney, right? When he said Bruce Bowen and those guys were like, yeah, Jadeveon's going to sign. Like, we're not worried about anybody else. He's going to sign. When you have that kind of feeling as an organization, if you notice, the Titans didn't flinch. But the Titans didn't you weren't here in Tennessee like, we're going to bring in Jarvis Landry. We're going to bring in all these other guys. And we're going to look elsewhere. No, if you notice, they were dead set. DeAndre is the guy. And we're just waiting on DeAndre. Hey, go. It's almost like Nick Saban in a top 5 recruit, right? Hey, go visit Oregon, go visit LSU.
Have fun.
Hey, go visit. I don't care. Go visit, whoever else you want to, right? Florida, whoever else. We know he's signing here, right? Like you knew it. So
that's why I feel like. That's why I say I just want to give a shout out to Rand, because I feel like J-Rob, after he didn't sign that first time he visited, J-Rob would have went out there and signed Jarvis Landry, overpaid him, and we would act like Hopkins never came. But go ahead.
But I'll say this too, Rand Carthon, and I'm going to keep giving Rand Carthon as much praise as he deserves, because he does deserve it.
There's a front office.
49ers fans should thank him for Deebo Samuel being a 49ers fan, because he's the guy that flew down to Miami and had a conversation when that guy was asking to be traded and was out the door. He was essentially all but gone in San Francisco. Rand said, no, I want to go talk to him. And this is a confirmed story. He said, I want to go talk to that guy. He went and talked to Deebo, and they got a deal done. This is the kind of guy that you have now leading your franchise. Hey, I was a player. I've been in analytics. I've been in draft. I've been in NFL personnel. I know these guys. I've been in their shoes. Let me talk to them. Because if I can get them. 9 times out of 10, I look like him. I've been where he was. I know what it's like in the NFL locker room. And I also know the corporate side of the NFL.
Giving me goosebumps, man.
I'm just so it's one of those things. Like if I was a receiver in the NFL and there's a guy like Rand Carthon sitting across from me, he talks my language. He can tell me he's a good sale, but it's also from a genuine place, right? When you see him, he's a genuine guy. It's not pomp and circumstance. It's not this. He's not going to throw all the lights and glam and the big words at you. He's not John Robinson. John Robinson never played it down in the NFL. Yeah. John Robinson barely played in college, right? He's not a nerd posing as as an NFL guy, and it's not to down any of the guys that never played in the NFL, but it's different when you talk to an athlete who's now a front office man. It's different when you talk to a coach who played and won Super Bowls. It's different when you have guys who have been on winning franchises, right? Sean Murphy-Bunting and Aziz Al-Shaair both been on winning franchises and now coming and bringing that. It takes a mixture. It's more than just the big names and the All-Pros and the superstars that make a Super Bowl team. It's those little nuances that you got to kind of fit together. And Rand does that in a great way.
All right, man. Yeah. Real quick, I do kind of have to, or well, I don't have to, but I try to keep the show under an hour now, as the network asked. So
I'm sorry, guys.
No. I love it, man. Honestly, I love you. I hope we can get a segment set up or something like that, because I love having you around. To be honest, you're my favorite so far. I didn't say that. Anyway, the big question everybody has, or everybody keeps popping at me, is can he still do it? Is Hopkins, washed up? Which I have a tweet from Hopkins, which I'm sure if you're a Titans fan, you've already seen, but I'm going to put it up anyway. And, I love it. I absolutely love it. Because that, to me, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys remember, you especially you, Cortland, because you're on Twitter, but A.J. Brown could not help himself for some reason. Like he was on Twitter all the time, man. He was tweeting out stuff all the time to his haters, to his lovers. Yeah. He was just a cool dude on Twitter. I still follow him. But anyway, DeAndre, immediately was tweeting and Instagramming about it. Immediately, you know what I mean? Immediately, was calling people out, that were saying that he was washed up, and he's like, oh, y'all were just asking for me, and then had to delete some stuff. So I love it. That's absolutely the kind of guy I want here. Absolutely the kind of guy I want here. It just brought back all kinds of good memories for me.
Oh yeah. Tom Brady was a big time, like he did it in a different way, right? He did it against the media, right? as a media member, you knew like if your team was playing that guy, don't piss off Tom Brady, right? Like don't piss him off. And there's guys like that in the NFL, and I think that's the one thing that the Titans have missed is having that dog. Now we do have some on the roster now. Like Jeffrey Simmons is that dog, right? But I haven't seen many people down that guy. I haven't seen many people say he sucks or he's not a good player, right? And you can't, and without sounding crazy.
Yeah.
But with DeAndre Hopkins, I think like, and we've all seen it. If Titans fans are watching this, right? We've all seen it. The Titans are the wide receiver graveyard. You guys got Andre Johnson. You brought in Randy Moss and Julio. And here's the thing. Not to say that but Andre Johnson is not a first ballot Hall of Famer because he is. Not to say that Randy Moss, because he does have a gold jacket, right? Julio Jones, when he calls it quits, is going to have a gold jacket. But you put this guy, DeAndre Hopkins, in that kind of at this juncture in his career, right? And he just now turned
31.
I'm 30. And I go out and rip up a field today if I needed to. And I ain't in this shape.
Yeah.
This dude does nothing but this is his job.
Exactly.
Right, this is his job.
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins is 6'1", 212 pounds. I want to see everybody who said that he's washed. You go ask the Titans, can you have a walk-on tryout, and you point out number 10, and you say, I want to cover him. And see, don't you get cooked. And see how washed that man is. Like, he's going to go out there, iron sharpens iron. He's hearing everything. He's not Kevin Durant as far as, like, thin skin, but he's going to remember every hater. He's going to remember every fan base. He's going to remember every pundit and naysayer. He's going to remember each one of them. And every week, from week 1 to week 18, he's going to say, I told you so. What was that you were saying?
Yeah.
Who's washed? Yeah. That's every week. And he's not going to say it verbally. He's going to say it with his play.
Yep, on the field.
Yeah.
So this is, like you said, I love having this guy on the roster. Outside of just the fact that it's DeAndre Hopkins, I love having a guy at the receiver position who's in the words of Terrell Owens, I love me some meat, and I hope you brought your popcorn. Right, top 10 receiver, man.
Hey, I got the Madden, the wide receiver. So I got it pulled up, man. They still believe. So if Madden still believe that DeAndre Hopkins is top 10, I'm believing he's top 10. They got him right now as the number 7 receiver in the league. So, and that's over AJ Brown. So we got to upgrade.
And I think Pro Football Focus has DeAndre ranked at like number 6 in the league, number 5, number 6 in the league. So again, here's the crazy thing. I know we talked about it earlier. You got a top 10 receiver for a wide receiver 23 money. Like he's like the 23rd highest paid receiver in the league. 23rd. And he's a top 5 receiver.
Hey, we winning. We won.
That's it.
We winning.
That's it, man.
You lost. Like,
be salty.
This is the new Tennessee. Like, and I've been trying to tell people, this is the new look Tennessee Titans. Like, I know that gets said a lot with teams that make front office changes. But this is where, like, the Titans are now in that we have a GM that can now compete with other GMs. It's not just about what you do on the field. It's about what you do in those front office talks. It's about what you do at those league meetings. It's about how you come across at the combine. For a lot of people that don't know, the Julio Jones trade was talked about and shaken on at the combine. Rand is now going to be that guy who's representing two-tone blue at the combines, at these league meetings, at these drafts. He's going to be that guy. You're going to see a lot of players that are going to start saying, I want to go to Nashville. DeAndre Hopkins chose Nashville over Kansas City, New England, Buffalo. He chose us over those places.
And that new stadium on the way too.
In 2 years, you have a new stadium, and DeAndre Hopkins could possibly be playing one of his maybe second to third, like his third to his last season in the new stadium.
What was you saying, Max?
I was just going to say that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier about why I was excited about this, this new GM hire. I was scared at first because I didn't really know that much about Rand, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
but the more I got to know, the more I liked. Every time I found something else out, I was just like, yeah, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, keep coming with it. Yeah. And then once I started seeing his plan come together, I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, I can roll with this. I can do this. And then now that we've got DeAndre for what we got him for, I mean, he's like I said, dude, walk away from an explosion. You've done it. A+ offseason. Could not be happier with our GM right now. I'm really excited to see what happens next year when he can really throw some bags around, and I don't know. I'm just super excited.
Here's the thing I will say, more money, more problems. And that is not just a street saying, that is a football thing, because when you got that kind of money, it's easy to go out and be like, new shiny toys, right? So I just hope
I damn near probably say this on every show. Man, I just hope the injury bug is gone, man. Like, we've dealt with this thing for 2-3 years, bro. Man, because
it's gone. I can say that it's gone. I will say this. I don't know if you guys saw it. Max, you probably saw it. I think he posted it, actually. Christian Fulton looks totally different. And I'll say this, as an athlete, when I was in college, when I was in high school, I ate like crap, right? I was on the Ocho Cinco diet. McDonald's, Burger King, right? Coffee, soda, chips. Wasn't eating the best, right? I had a lot of strains. I had a lot of no tears, no ligament tears, or rigid injuries like bone breaks or anything like that. But a lot of strains, a lot of pulled hammies, a lot of pulled quads, a lot of back spasms, things of that nature. When I got to college, it was different. They pumping you full of water, they pumping you full of electrolytes, they changing your diet. I went from 162 to 205. And a healthy 205.
Yep. Makes a difference.
Right, at 5'11". I was a trim 205 at 5'11". Ask me, have I ever had another tear, another strain, anything? Never. Christian Fulton now.
I was saying, you probably feel amazing, don't you?
Oh, as far as explosion went, I got faster. I got stronger, right? That's why you see these guys when they get to the NFL, they're like, oh, he ran a 4.2. That's why they get so excited, because now that 4.2 guy can turn to a 4.1, 4 flat guy, right? Like, because he's getting professional nutrition now. Now, some of these guys, still eat like crap, right? Some of them are just God-given athletes. But the fact that Christian Fulton realized that I need to go and get on a program, I need to go and get hydrated and proper nutrition. What fuel do you don't put regular gas in a Corvette?
No,
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't put, you don't put a bumper sticker, right? You don't put a bumper sticker on a Hurricane, right? Like, that's what this is. That's what's going on. And I just wanted to bring that up. Like, when you brought up the injury bug, it is about guys who, and Vrabel mentioned that these guys have to take this serious in the offseason. He did that.
Yep.
And I'm shout out to Kyle Phillips. He the main one I'm ready to see bounce back. But he's a lot
bigger too. He's a lot bigger now.
Go and wrap it up, Mike.
I was gonna say, sorry, I'm definitely no, you're great. You're great. I love it. I wish we could sit here and talk all night, but they really want me to keep 100 hours. So go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you out there, Cortland.
Oh no, for real. So yes, Thursday nights, every Thursday night, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find me on my show, the Halftime Show. I'm definitely going to have these two fellas on. We're going to talk some Titans before the season or during the season. Definitely got to have y'all on. Also, I am bringing up for all my draft heads and college football guys. I am working on right now my top 50 big board on the 3-point conversion. So be on the lookout for that before week 1 of college football and week 1 of the NFL. If you're looking for guys that your team could draft, if you're looking for those RAS scores and those guys to look out for, check out that article.
All right.
That's what's up. Yeah,
Definitely have to check that out. Tell them where to find you at, Flame.
I'm Flame Douglas on Facebook. And hey, y'all, please help me get my Twitter followers up. I'm on Twitter now. Your boy on Twitter, Flame_615. Hey, you follow me. I won't lead you wrong. I'm gonna be posting a ton of Titan stuff there. Me and my boy Max, man, we're gonna be locking in over there. So Flame_615 on Twitter. Get there, please.
And as always, you can find me Maximus_Titan_fan pretty much everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, or you can look for the Titans Fan Battle Podcast, which is on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram as well. It's been a great show, guys. I can't wait to have you on again, Cortland. But
sure. This can't be the last time, guys.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right. Well,
I love this. This is my kind of element, man. I love this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To be honest, I love having you on, man. Your energy is great. And yeah, y'all enjoy yourselves. Good night.